Hello, Voyagers. In this episode, we talked to Samantha Kane, a conscious guide and holistic life coach. We talked about how she uses a blend of her own life experiences to show her clients how to mindfully create new habits and live a life of higher consciousness. I'm Lauren Leon.
And I'm Frank.
We are a married couple learning how to develop our own intuition. And this is episode 43 of Clairvoyaging. Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging.
Yeah.
Hey. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I don't even know what is that.
How's it going, folks?
Hi, Frank.
Yeah?
You doing it today?
I'm doing all of it, every single bit of it.
Yeah, we're just living it up.
Living good.
You know?
Life's okay.
Life is fine.
Life's okay.
We just went through the heat wave in Southern California.
I mean, it's not done.
No, it's not. But I decided to put on a garage sale this weekend.
Oh, my ill-fated.
Let me just tell you, one of the worst ideas I've ever had. And Frank really didn't want to say, I told you so. He kind of did, like a couple of times.
Well, I asked.
He was so deeply against this garage sale. And then there was a heat wave. And I was just miserable outside. Our daughter was selling lemonade. And
hey,
she
Lauren,
kept taking breaks to go inside.
Who cut and squeezed 20 pounds of lemonade to make a little kid's dreams come true?
Sweet Frank. Literally, I think it was like 10 pounds at least.
No, I counted. Oh. I counted the pounds.
So sorry. I'm sorry.
I have tendinitis now.
Tendinitis?
I have, what's it called?
I don't know. You have lemon squeezer hands. I'll never have a garage sale again. It's weirdly embarrassing. Like, you're like, here are all my things from my home, and I'm going to put them outside for you to just like sift through and judge and drive by and decide if it's good enough to stop.
And then they decide it's not, and they walk away from your stuff.
Yeah. They're like, well, here's $1.
At least that's what I imagined happened, because I was just inside in lemon hell.
Yeah, he was in lemon hell, just not involved. Otherwise, outside with the public. You made very good lemonade.
When life gives you garage sales, you should not make lemonade. Anyway.
Formal apology to my husband.
Thank you. It was public now.
Public, yeah. So we have, not a lot of updates, but I want to just shout out our friend of the show, Carol, for buying us some coffees.
Carol did it again?
Yeah.
Carol?
She is just, it's supporters like Carol that keep us going.
That's fantastic.
Keep us fueled. Also,
surprises.
Here's my current coffee that Frank said was not okay to have. I have Scrooge McDuck, an iced coffee in a Scrooge McDuck cup.
I didn't say she couldn't have the cup. I didn't say she couldn't have the coffee. I said, let's just not have it on the desk.
And now there's my coffee. Thank you, Carol.
Samantha Kane.
Samantha Kane. She's just a bright light.
Samantha Kane.
She cool.
She kicked some ass.
Oh God. She's awesome.
She'll like that.
She will like that. She's a conscious guide. She's a life coach. She's got a lot of great insights for living a mindful life.
Yeah. And
she's got jokes. She's lighthearted. She's fun.
But also she's also got that depth to her.
Yeah.
That you need from someone like that.
Yeah.
So
please enjoy.
Yeah. Come watch Samantha keep it real.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Can you give us a little backstory? You call yourself a conscious guide, and I want to know, 1, what is that? 2, how'd you get here? And I mean more, not the big universal question of how'd you get here, but you know what I mean.
Came in hot for the womb.
Yeah.
Hi guys, thanks for having me here. I appreciate you both. So how did I get here? Well, it's a loaded question. Which version do you want?
I'm sorry.
So no, don't be sorry. Well, basically, sounds a little cheesy, but I mean, it's the truth, and it's very general and simplistic. But I always knew I wanted to help people, and I never knew at what capacity. And over time, I kid you not, I've counted, so this is a little ridiculous, but I've had more than 30 jobs and in my life, never been fired. But I've just done everything under the sun. And I think I've always tried to fulfill something more spiritual in me, while at the same time maintaining this mindset that I was programmed to how to be or how to act from my family or from society, and just the pressures of that, of the timeline, right? You go to school, you get your degrees, you get your diplomas, you have a job, you have a boyfriend, a marriage, a family, like in that particular order, right?
Yeah.
And that was what the skeleton of my life. But all throughout that time, I had these jobs where I wore the heels, and I worked corporate, and I did all these things. And then I was a teacher, and I worked at a Psychic Eye bookshop in Woodland Hills.
Oh, I didn't know you worked there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a great one of my top fave jobs. And so I've done so many things. I mean, you name it. And in each one, I found myself through them. And most of them, they didn't really jive with me and who I was. I felt restricted, constricted. I felt, and I'm not talking like, woe is me woman, like glass ceiling kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Although that too.
Right.
But I just felt like none of them were fully me. And then in 2014 or 2015, I found out about life coaching, holistic wellness, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this sounds like something I can do. It's not so by a book. I can throw my experience, which I've had a lot by that time. I can throw in education and intuition, and I can mix all three and per person cater to people and do case by case basis and work with people one by one in this holistic life coaching, in this wellness platform where I get to be me, and I can have blue hair or do whatever I want to do. That's always my go-to every once in a while. Blue. And I can help people. And it just, once I heard of this, once I realized that, this is a job, this is something I can do and make money and just love it, I fell right into it. And I got my certification really quickly, which again, I'm not too big on labels or certifications or diplomas and all of that, even though I have them all the way up to a master's degree. For me, it's more about experience.
Yeah.
And pairing your life experience with your intuition, and then partnering with a client and somebody that is open to learning about themselves and working together in some kind of symbiotic sense where you kind of just go through the motions of how you can improve your life through habit, through your daily rituals, what you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, your mindset, slowing down, being mindful, and doing it all in an authentic way, which is what my main kind of topic is. It's just being present and being authentic. And that's what I try to partner with people in and provide tools for them.
We were just talking about this last night, Frank.
Oh, listen, I talk about this all the time.
I know, but we literally right before bed, we're talking about slowing down.
Yeah.
And mindfulness and like, which, yeah, obviously that is one of the topics of our show even, but literally that same thing of like, you were saying you were jealous of like a couple that was just walking their dog. You're like, we're not, sometimes we don't slow down enough to just do that.
You've never been fired from 30 jobs. Yeah, I have. I have.
You're never fired. You've been let go.
I know, but
like laid off.
Tomato, potato.
No,
it feels the same.
That's different.
Mr. Potato. That is just different.
But
that is different than being fired. No, if you were fired, that would be. I don't think you would be here. I think you'd be in jail.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, so like this period of my life in particular is me. I'm definitely more leaning into making sure that I'm authentic than I am in like making an income in any kind of way, and hoping that like one leads to the other, obviously. But yeah, blue hair don't care for sure. That's where I'm at.
I get it. I actually love that, because the people that chase the money have a lot of problems, because that if you're making that your number one, yeah, you might attain that, but then what else do you have paired with it? Are you focusing on any of the emotion and feeling that happens as human?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that you shift gears, because, and also too, as a man like that, we're programmed so deep into that. Well, at least a little before our time, before our generation. And even now, it's probably still safe to say in a lot of homes, it's like the man brings home the bacon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, we don't have to have that mindset. We have to reframe that, So
Right.
I love that you're actually paying attention to being aware and finding out more of who you are, so you can align a happiness and a healthiness with your life, more than, like I say, chasing the money.
Right. Yeah. And I do feel those societal pressures. Maybe I'm not as susceptible to them because I've spent a lot of time raging against the metaphorical machine, if you will. But and also I am insanely supported by Lauren, who's holding down the fort while I tinker. So yeah, but that all said, the pressure is real, and it's hard to feel confident enough to like make big changes
and rewire your brain to like be okay with the discomfort too.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, being in flow is accepting where we are now.
Yeah.
And changes come, that's the inevitable. And it's not just like, I'm going to go to a different grocery store now. That kind of thing is a change, right? Because we all get caught. And I was thinking about this lately, how, we all we go to a grocery store, we go down the specific aisles, we know we get the same products, we go the same way to drop off our kid. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all this certain, we're like robots. But then, so those kinds of changes are small changes. I'm going to go to a different grocery store. But then there's also the big changes that we can allow ourselves to have too, which is just taking ourselves a different direction in life. And that's also paired with the changes that we have no say in. There's going to be things that are going to change, and that's just how it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like somebody we're in a relationship with, friendship, romantic, family, whatever kind of relationship or job, you don't have authority over someone laying you off. That's just like, that's what's happening behind the scenes. That's in the environment, but your change is within. Like, okay, how do I deal with that? So circling back to acceptance, now you're just laid off. You have to learn to accept that moment and then ask yourself, well, what am I being taught here? What is the lesson out of that? And then once that lesson is kind of looked at a little bit, you can move into the next space, wherever the universe wants to take you. a little bit with more ease, than if you're just, a lot of people get stuck. Well, I got laid off and my life is ruined. And we can think this way for a minute, but then let it go.
Yeah.
And then so it's like, follow the feeling, right? And that's how you stay in flow. It's accepting.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that I have a very good chance that I have had to repeat this beat for the last 20 years because I have not been adaptable. And so, whoops-a-daisy. And also, here we go. It's a new tomorrow.
You're learning to adapt.
Yeah.
You're saying 20 years. And in a human life, that sounds like a long time. But if you think of the bigger picture of it, 20 years is a blip in time. 20 years. Right. Because your soul has lived how many lives, human body lives, and going to live God knows how many others, right?
Right.
So when you think of it, it just releases pressure.
That is true.
Because we put the pressure on ourselves, like, what I was saying earlier about timelines, we have to, have a partner and a relationship and a marriage and a business and a like my head's spinning just thinking of like how far I've come. Is your head spinning too? I mean, it's like all the things you've been to, through that have led you to here now. But that's the thing, is we can't get too caught up in the past and we can't get too hung up on the future. And that's why I'm so major. I literally have tattooed on me, be here now.
Oh, that's nice.
It's just one of my top mantras because it is about being present, which reminds you to breathe and reminds you to slow down.
Right.
I really like that reframing the amount of time, because I feel like that really sticks with people a lot where, if you're like, if somebody's in a career or somebody that they're like, why have I been doing this for so long? I've been doing this for 30 years. I've wasted so much time, or I'm not where I think I should be yet because I'm about to turn 40.
Hey,
sorry. Or, like all those things where we have been, like you said, programmed, or we've like seen everybody go through the motions of you should be at this by this or whatever, or like 30 impressive people before the age of 30. And you see these things and you're like, well, I'm not there. What's wrong with me? But yeah,
that's cool. I don't like that.
I know.
I don't play by those rules.
Yeah.
See, those rules don't govern me because I don't fall into that booby trap, which is all it is.
Yeah.
It's like people trying to, and that's ruffling a lot of feathers unnecessarily. Right. And this is why it's so important to be present and be authentic, because that's where you learn your confidence and you learn your footing. I'm telling you, there's nothing more. This is what I've found. There's nothing more important in life than being authentic. Mm-hmm. Because once you're authentic, you learn how to use your voice. You learn how to not use your voice. Mm-hmm. You learn how to be quiet when you need to just slow down and hear. A lot of us aren't listening to each other anymore because, everyone's trying to be heard. And especially now that we have all this online hoopla, it's, and there's so many things we can choose to listen to that we get so caught up and distracted more and more that we forget to listen to ourselves and we forget to listen to the people around us. And we just get caught in these weird loops.
Yeah. Definitely.
And
it's funny. It feels like, to that point, like I haven't quite thought about this. Obviously, I can talk shit about social media all day long, but like these traps that you're talking about, they feel like they're everywhere more than any time in history, because like you can go onto TikTok and scroll through and you're going to get like it's obviously when you're on social media, like you do a lot of comparing yourself to other people, and then like you are still scrolling, and then someone sneaks in with like a little, like the toxic hustle culture kind of thing going on. You're like, oh, I need to be doing more. I'm not enough. It's a constant cycle of I'm not enough, even in our entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's baloney.
It is. It's a big slab of baloney, for real. It's like, I mean, that's how big it is. It's a slab.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a giant cut.
Well, so
This reminds me also of Lauren's. Lauren has a counterpoint to the common motto of YOLO. What is it again?
I want to hear it. I want to hear this.
You only live a bunch of times.
It's YOLObot.
YOLObot. Yeah, like if you believe in past lives, you don't only live once.
Yeah.
So YOLObot.
So
you only live a bunch of times.
To your point of this being just a blip, like, we're, I guess, sure, 20 years. Not too bad, Frank. All right.
You're doing all right. Yeah,
Right.
reframe it.
Listen, I'm sending you a big pat on the back all the way from the ethers, whatever land you want to call this, where we're like looking at two screens and seeing each other, but not.
No.
I know.
So weird.
What
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah. It is kind of a nasty business that we do to ourselves, but that's the brain. We do these weird things where we trick ourselves into thinking that we're not great and we're not magic and we're not, these amazing beings. I don't think you would be here. I don't think I would be here if there wasn't some purpose. I don't think, over 8 billion people would be on this planet if each of these people didn't have some purpose into relation with one another, even if there's people on an island their whole life,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, just talking about what you do or how.
Yeah, I made this about me real quick.
Whenever he hears like, wait a second, you're talking about transitions? I got
authentic,
a transition story for you.
having a hard time in that transition. Here we go.
Our listeners are like, we get it, Frank.
Yeah.
No, I like it.
Yeah, like you're always pulling in extra like insight and stuff, which is great. And it's a relatable topic because I feel like a lot of people don't want to be doing what they're doing and they don't know how to adjust.
Sure. Yeah, that's it.
So with that said, like when you have a client or just in general, like, do you have kind of one theme or what is one go-to? I know everybody that you coach is obviously super different. They have totally different goals and all that, but do you have one specific thing that you tell everyone, or maybe a set of things?
The slowdown is probably a blanket statement for all parties involved with me.
Yeah.
When they come to my party, it's a slowdown party, which is funny. It probably doesn't sound very fun to anybody listening to this. But it actually is, because it serves a big purpose to your entire life once you do the slowdown.
What does that look like? Or what does that, how do you advise on that?
Yeah. So how it would translate into real life is, like Frank said, in this hustle culture, which is major. And I think about so much because the majority of my own life. So I'm always relating and pulling from my own experience as it's relatable to each client.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to tell them to do something that wouldn't jive with them. So whatever I can pull from that I know will be helpful for them, that's what I use. But as far as the slowdown goes, when I lived this corporate life and when I lived all these jobs, I was just talking to a lady yesterday, and she was a fellow, retired teacher. I'm not a retired person yet, but she's a retired teacher. I used to teach, and we were talking about teaching, and And I don't know where the conversation led. And all of a sudden I'm telling her how I used to work 80 hours because I was in mortgage and I was a teacher and I was trying to figure out both. Yeah. And then I blew my own mind because I was like, wow, that was me in life at some point. Right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's wild. And my life wasn't always like that. It didn't always look like that. But I've definitely personally experienced this like jam-packed, wake up, pop out of bed, don't even think. And this was before social media. So you know how you wake up now and you're like scrolling. What is Vanessa saying today?
Vanessa.
Like,
she's always saying something.
Oh, she runs her mouth. No, but there's always, you wake up, there's social media, you check your emails, you check your bank account. It's like, whoa, slow down, Nelly.
Yeah.
So this is, I belonged to the hustle club. Mm-hmm. And now I yanked myself out. Mm-hmm. I was like, I will not be a part of that anymore. There are some things you need to hurry up with, like when you're talking to your child, you guys will resonate with when you're talking to your kid, you're like, we gotta go, we gotta get out the door, get your clothes on.
Yeah.
But then there's so much that we don't realize that we actually can slow down and we can not pressure and worry our brain. This is where the anxiety comes in. Mm. So here's the deal. As a parent, you guys are parents and I'm a parent or not, we all have to be places by a certain time, respectfully to other people's time.
Yeah.
And those are moments, but those are only some moments in your life. What about all the other moments in your life? When you wake up an extra few minutes early. If you want to scroll social media, check your bank account or whatever you're going to do so, but make sure first when you open your eyes, you have some mindfulness back there and you kind of stretch your body and you kind of clear your mind for a minute before you're like, what do I got to do? Oh, I got to make the kid toasted eggs and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Like have a calm down because the first few minutes of your day are going to set the trajectory for the rest of your day.
Yeah, so true.
And
whoops.
Too often we pop up out of bed. I popped up out of bed the other day and my kid was like, how do you do that? And I was like, I don't know. It's not good.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
But actually, it's not a good thing. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so, but do you see how we all revert back to bad habits, old habits? Mm-hmm. Even my kid now has been speaking in, is it third person where you're saying
talking about herself?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's so, it'd be me going like, Sam says, thank you for being a guest on this episode today. Sam loved speaking with you so much. So she's been coming to me. She's been saying this third person talk. And my husband and I are just like, oh my gosh, this can't be anymore. It's funny for a second.
Yeah.
And it became a habit. And then it was like weeks. And we're like, this isn't real talking. So let's get back. So we talked about it. We had a conversation and then she's come back. And when she is doing it now, she's mindful of it and she catches herself and she goes, oh, what I meant was I would like a cup of crackers, or whatever.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. But the point is, whether it's a kid or an adult, we're all teachable, even though we seem to think that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Of course we can. It's all practice. It takes time.
Yeah. I tell myself like, oh, I'm not very good with being disciplined. And I think I'm giving myself that excuse by saying that out loud. Because the times when I'm really disciplined and I wake up early before my kids and I give myself time to meditate or just sit quietly with coffee or go on a walk or whatever, it makes my day so much better. And And I have to it's like I fight. I have this inner battle where I'm like, but this is so hard for me. Like, if it's just practice, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, it does like what I'm taking away from what you're saying is just to start your day with that, reprogramming of calmness, knowing that you're enough, like from the second you wake up, and then you might get into that flow state more easily from there instead of just pushing. And
They said,
yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Because you want to create a gentleness, throughout the day. And, because you can picture yourself two ways. You can be the pop out of bed person, but then like 20 minutes later, you're going to be the one honking. You're going to be, you're going to be that jerky that's like weaving out of lanes. I'm going to school. I got to get my kid to school, and then it's like, and then that mindset carries, and now you're not talking smack to the grocery clerk. Just kidding.
Were you following us last week, Sam?
She did it.
No. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it parlays itself. Yeah. It's like a ripple. So you want to be mindful where that ripple is going. Are you going to be like that gentle, rock kind of flowing through the ripples? Or are you going to be that like boulder, I'm coming in hot today,
Yeah.
So it's your choice. And then once you're calm, you're able to take the hits from life so much better than if you're already in this aggro state. Right. Then it's way easier to go up to that level. But think about if you're calm, then you're here, something's up here, you don't go up here. Now you can possibly take that situation or person down here with you. And then now they take their next situation down. And then everybody's, it's called System of a Down, by the
way. This is also, I like how you're suggesting we all take the low road, the nice low road, right?
Totally. Low road is a good road to go. Good road to be on. Yeah.
No, that is
high road. Take the low road.
Yeah. It is interesting though, because again, like you're saying, that in your morning routine, the first few things you're doing is you're getting into that chaotic state, and then you go and propagate that chaos, and you become someone else's bad day and bad attitude.
Yeah.
And the thing they had to overcome instead of the other way around. Who doesn't want to be the one who is calm in an uncalm situation?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to do that. No one wants to like aggro their way up and like be the more pissed one, or
it's also just so much harder to come down from that state.
That's horrible. It's horrible. We all have bad days where that just happens naturally. We don't need to give ourselves more bad days.
Yeah. Yeah. Stressed getting somewhere.
Well, it happened to me this morning, and I felt horrible. But this is what I do with my kid, which, again, everything's relatable to everyone, whether you have a kid or not. But hopefully it's relatable in a nice way to my neighbor. I'm pulling out before I'm pulling out the driveway, my kid, she's very aware. I'm raising a conscious child.
Yeah.
She's homeschooled. She goes out of the home to a homeschool, and is in a pod and is just learning these wonderful things. It's nature immersion. I mean, it's indoors, but it's nature immersion too. And it's creativity, and it's mindful thinking, and so many wonderful things besides just sitting down and doing what you're told. Yeah. It's very cool. But so she's always aware of her surroundings, and she saw a dead plant. So she took her water bottle that was going with her to school, and then she like unbuckled herself, got out of the car, which, hello, red flag. Parents, do not do that. We have places to go.
Yeah.
Immediately got angry, bad on me. And, that was my moment. I should have been like, well, why? What are you doing? And instead, I'm like, get back in the car. So all she wanted to do was take her water and water a dead plant so that she could help it regrow.
That's really cute.
And
That's so sweet.
it's so cute. And she was only, it was like 10 seconds out of my life and her life. But I got a little aggro because that's just where my brain was like, mom on the go.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing? And she was so calm and so sweet, and I wasn't. And then comes a neighbor walking his 2 dogs who probably witnessed all of this. And then I'm like, shaming myself in the car, like, God, what did he hear?
Yeah.
No.
Like, what did I say? Anyway. So, but then in the car, she wanted me to put on System of a Down. This is why this is in my head. It is a cool kid, and she doesn't listen to this pop that everybody else listens to.
Yeah.
She's like, Mom, put it on System of a Down. I'm like, not yet. Mom needs a minute. Mom needs to cool down. And she says, well, all we need to do is just turn around and go get some ice packs.
Oh.
We laughed. And I said, thank you. Mom needed some comedy. I literally laughed out loud, and that was all I needed instead of the 5 minutes I thought I needed to cool down.
Right?
Yeah. That's
so
very
this
funny.
is like teaching, everyone around me who is open to learning, because you never want to try to teach somebody something that is going to feel like they're being told what to do.
Oh, that goes well.
So it doesn't. People don't take negative advice when they didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
Is what I've found. So, but with my kid, just teaching her these kinds of things and being conscious and being aware of your surroundings. And in turn, it's doing a doozy to me, because it's making me, turn into a more vulnerable, conscious parent.
Yeah.
And
she's holding up a mirror.
She is.
Yeah.
And so we do this for each other. She holds my face in her hands and she's like, Mom, and talks to me sometimes. And so we do this thing for each other. And if we could only do that to adults as well, not necessarily like hold each other's. That'd be weird.
Grab them by the face. Yeah.
We're like having happy hour actually at a bar, like holding each other's face.
I'm going to be known as the face grabber around town now.
But in some kind of symbolic or spiritual way, holding each other, like holding space for each other to allow emotions and allow feeling and allow, people to go through whatever they need to in the communication, verbal and nonverbal, because everything is energy. And and play to the energy. We should always be playing to the energy,
Yeah.
Also, leave it to kids to like force us to be in the moment too. Like, just saying like, well, all you need to do is get some ice packs. Like,
that's very funny.
It's like, reminding you like right now, like that. Yeah. I don't know. It kind of keeps you right here. They're really good at that.
She brought me right back down to earth.
Yeah.
I'm up here. See, I was here and she took me down. Exactly.
Low road.
We went
low road.
And then she's like, Mom, but can we listen to System of a Down? And I said, okay, now we can put it.
Now I'm ready.
And now Mommy's ready.
Yeah.
What, let me ask you a question. It's a bit of a left turn here. You had mentioned earlier that your coaching is a combination of your experience and intuition that you're bringing into it. What level of intuition are you bringing into your coaching? So
I don't have voices in my head at this time speaking to me from other realms. I am working on my personal connection to spirit or spirits or my spirit team or my soul fam or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that is something that would be very cool to, as I find deeper connection personally, to bring online and back down to earth into my help with clients and my support that way. That's not the area that I work with. I just work with my own personal intuition. because I'm a very aware person. I'm very conscious, but I'm also very tapped into energy in general. I can walk in a room and not know anybody and just, I get it. I already get it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of people like me in that. I know a lot of people can resonate with that. But you know, I can, or even if I do know people, or even if it's one person, I can see already, I can read it. And then there's a lot of people that are not like that at all, that should learn to be like that, because you might be coming in with a really bad news bears story or something. And maybe that person has down energy, but it's not written on their face. So maybe you don't want to bring that story to that situation, to that person moment,
right?
Because you have to have a sad face or see tears to know, or an angry face, that that's not the right moment to bring that to that person about yourself. Maybe you need to be asking them, you know, hey, what's going on? So I read energy very well. I think I always have. And this is why I say I would love to take it, you know, and I'm working on myself, my own spiritual practice, to go deeper with that. And a lot's happened in the past year plus, you know, since this whole thing's happened in the last 4 or 5 years, with the world kind of shutting down.
Yeah.
I think a lot of positive has come out of it, at least for me personally, where I got to be with myself a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know a lot of people can resonate with this as well. Being home, I had a brand new kid. I was on my own because my husband was working 7 days a week.
Wow.
So yeah, I was like at home with a baby, talking to the baby, talking to myself, knowing I wasn't going crazy, but partially going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all did a little bit of that.
Yeah.
As in, I went crazy on bags of Lay's potato chips, not a sponsor. And I have yet to shed.
We went through some dark times at the beginning of the pandemic. It was Tiger King
and Frito Lay's. That's it. Maybe
a variety pack of chips. Yeah, we had a 2-year-old at home, and I was like, "Are we ever going to be okay?"
Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, to your point, like, as long as you survived it, a ton of great came out of like being at home more, or having more time for yourself. Like, it really was a giant catalyst, and it feels like a world shift even as to like what we're capable of, you know.
Yeah.
To your point of talking about like your like anti-mold concept, your anti like societal like expectations thing. I always say this word wrong. Like, the society was built so much in a way to infantilize us all, to where like we need, or our jobs and careers are based on like, you must do what I say and report back. Like, I've been in a situation where it's like, hey, I need to report every 15 minutes. What are you talking about? I'm a grown man with children of my own. I don't expect my kids to give me a 15-minute report. It was
real?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do it.
That's nuts.
Do it. It's humanizing is what it is.
It is.
It's that's like a control thing. So here's the other thing about control, that we have to learn to let go of control of ourselves. And you can't do that so well when you're trying to mirror someone else's image of control of themselves.
Yeah.
Trying to control of you.
Right.
That was helpful. But if you can wrap your head around that, because everyone's trying to control something, right? But what are we all trying to control? And how do we control so much at the same time as trying to let go? You know, everyone talks about letting go, releasing, you know, karma, all these, you know, tag words or whatever you want to call them in this in this business. And it really comes down to that word, control. because we're all trying, and then that pairs, that's where the anxiety comes in, and the emotions, because we're trying to control our emotions, which you can't really. In essence, you can't. You got to just follow the feeling and follow the flow through your feelings. But vulnerability go hand in hand with releasing control and with circling back into being more of who you are and being authentic. You can't be really your true self and have a voice for yourself if you're not letting your voice be heard, because you don't want to feel the feelings to get through the other side. You're not going to get through these problems, these habits, these issues, these mindsets that you've been ingrained to have or that you've been stuck on. You know, a lot of us get stuck and we cycle and we repeat, and we don't learn the lesson if we're, you know, just like a tornado.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, or that Chevy Chase. What's the movie? Look, kids, Big Ben. What is that?
Is that what is it? Vacation or what's it called?
Vacation.
Oh yeah.
European Vacation. You know.
Yeah.
And they European Vacation.
Chevy Chase like can't get out of that.
That's right. Yeah.
Big Ben, and it's like a joke at that point because he just like can't get out.
That's right.
You know, or one of those hotel like revolving doors.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But that's life, and that's always how that's where my mind takes me, is like, look, kids, Big Ben, or I'm stuck in a hotel lobby, like this habit, and then I'm like, dude, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
I gotta get my mind out of this. I gotta get my thinking, like, why do I need to control this conversation? Why do I need to control this relationship? Why do I need to control my part in this? Like, what is my true role? And that's what we have to ask ourselves. Like, what's my role in this? And that's where you learn where to be quiet and where to speak.
One of my personal life goals is to get Lauren to stop filtering herself so much. I want her to be authentic. But like something I'm thinking about now is that when we filter ourselves, like to protect like other people's perception of us, you get into a habit of doing that. And at some point you're filtering yourself for you. And it makes those difficult to acknowledge parts even harder to get to. And those are the things that you need to work through.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, Lauren's been encouraging me to try and make my own like YouTube channel series or something. I don't know, where I just talk about a lot of the stuff that we talk about on the podcast, just in shorter little bits. And I've been hesitant, and it's because I typically am a pretty private person, which is very funny because we have a podcast now and where I talk about stuff very openly all the time. But yeah, it's interesting. I haven't done it yet because I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be perceived on tape. Because I'm very uncomfortable with it. On tape?
Yikes.
Lauren did remind everybody that I am turning 40. It's fine.
Okay. And need I remind you both of my little elderly being in this moment here? I mean, I'm older than you guys. Anyway,
You don't look it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I wasn't fishing for compliments here. Let me hold my own face.
There you go.
Hey, that's my job.
I didn't always have my own voice. You know, I mean, I've always been a pretty confident person, but just as being a human, of course, I've had my own insecurities and my own issues and my own, I don't like the word shyness, but my own self-deterrent from speaking truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
You're looking to the future, Frank, when you're talking about a YouTube or whatever you decide to do. You might be like still gung-ho for it, or there might be a part of you that's like, no, I'm going to live my life and just do the podcast a little more and then see if I'm really vibing it or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either way, whatever direction you go, the life lessons are all in everything we're already doing, right? You know, in the being present of right now in this conversation and the next, 300 episodes you guys have in talking to all the different people. And and in the moment behind the scenes, not behind the camera, and all those moments where no one sees. And then the compilation, I couldn't think of how to say that word for a second. The compilation of all of that, what people see, what people don't see, what people hear, what people don't hear. And it's like a dance, you slowly kind of integrate more into who you already are. Mm-hmm. You're already this person. Like Frank's already this person. Lauren's already this person. I'm already should I say Sam is already this person and be third person?
Right. Yeah. Third person.
God, that'd be so weird if I started talking like that to people as an adult.
Listen, Sam likey.
Even me likey is a weird thing to say.
Likey should, yeah.
Yeah, Mikey likey. Anyway, so no, but we're already becoming more of who we already are. And the difference is some people filter, as you say, with that word. Some people kind of put a roadblock up to where we're already going. So it's like you're just kind of slowing down the process of getting to closer to who you already are. Or you're just, the road is open and you're just moving forward with it. Either way, you're already going there. You're already getting there. And we have to remember there's many paths to get wherever we're going. And there's never necessarily a wrong way to move forward.
Yeah, I think whenever Frank and I talk about like just because you mentioned me filtering myself, and we were talking about control earlier, I think a lot of it is almost out of fear. Like I have a lot of, I'm during this podcast, we've been like on this journey of discovering our intuition, all this stuff. And a lot of healing has come out of it from, trauma healing and all that stuff. And it's a realization of I try to control what I can because I'm trying to like keep the fear, keep myself safe. I think that's the overall, the bigger thing because of like childhood trauma, self-worth, all those things. I think I filter what I'm trying to use my voice more to stop being so scared of the outcome or so scared of not being safe. That's kind of where it all comes from. Just wanted to come back to that point.
Yeah.
That's something I've been really working on and like the inner child work and all that.
And then also though, like the thing that is weird about that is who are we to put our sense of safety in strangers? Because of the big fear of putting yourself out there is, what if everyone thinks I'm dumb? Which they can't think any less of me than I tend to already think of myself. So, and I'm getting over that. So,
right.
So who cares?
But yeah, that's been the biggest thing is who cares?
Yeah. And Lauren, I totally get what you're saying. That makes perfect sense because our safety is a big deal. And we want to feel, sometimes we just want to like, have a face cradle.
Yeah.
Everyone needs
someone cradle my face.
Yeah. Because sometimes we want to energetically feel safe. It's not even like someone complimenting you like, Lauren, you spoke so well on that episode today. And then you're going, thanks. And then that's a boost of confidence. So this is part of what I try to help relay to people, personally and professionally, is we find our inner confidence and our inner voice and, through authenticity, but we find it through reparenting ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's like a really big deal. I do it all the time for myself,
What's your biggest way to do that?
That's a great question. What the heck do I do? Well, it's funny because I was just in the car alone the other day and I was like, wow, I'm really reparenting myself here. And I had like an aha moment. It's just, I think recently it was something I was cycling in my head that I said to someone. And I'm going to answer you, but I also want to give you guys a takeaway too, or anybody listening, is when you're in one of those moments where you're cycling through something and you just can't get out of, and it's like a turnstile moment. I mean, of course, there's the things that anybody can kind of tell you to take a breath, and slow it down. But there's also just remembering that you're here. And it's as simple as that. It's just, I'm here. And you can literally say, I am here. Mm-hmm. And know that anything that's happened before you and anything that's about to happen in the future doesn't really matter. Like, this might be a little dark, depending on whose ears this falls on and what your takes are in life. But I often think, like, I could die in 5 minutes. I could die in 2 weeks. I could die in 5 years, or it might be 55.
Yeah.
So
no, I say that a lot. Like, I could die tomorrow.
Here's the thing. I detach myself from everything. I detach myself from my kid. I detach myself from husband. I detach myself from family, from friends, from my material possessions, my car, like everything, my pets, my dogs. That's like the worst. I could cry just about detaching from my dogs. I'm screw everybody else. How much I love my dog. No, but that's really the answer, is detaching yourself. And how do you detach yourself? Is you just say, I am here. And it's like the be here now saying, or be present, or be in the moment. When you remember you're here, you come back into grounding. You come back into gratitude. The 2 GRs, grounding and gratitude. That's really all you need.
Yeah.
You don't need the Gucci purse. You don't need the fancy house. You definitely don't need a boss telling you to report to him every 15 minutes. Throw that one out.
Yeah.
Exit stage left with that. But, it has to be where you break it down to the basics. You have to remember simplicity. And that's how you literally remember to remind yourself to breathe. Because if you think about it, if you're hyperventilating, literally, physically, or just spiritually, or in any sense, psychologically, when you're caught up in the mix of emotion and you can't get out of it and just feel stagnant and you're stuck, you're in tunnel vision. And so we have to remember to try to look up. And like, you can literally, this is another thing I do, is I literally, put my shoulders back and down, and I physically like look up and I look out. Because if you see someone walking on the street, not on their phone,
I've never seen that before.
Right. What
I'll
did
never
you just
see
say?
That. I don't know. I feel like it's trying to find a wild hair. And
a 4-leaf clover.
Yeah.
Wild hair. No, but it's like trying to find Bigfoot,
Yeah.
But when we're in a crazy moment, or a dark moment, or just a bad moment, a down moment, it's bringing it back to the basics, bringing it back to simplicity, breathing, grounding, and gratitude, and finding a couple of things that you're grateful for, but on a broad basis. Not, I'm grateful for the new shoes I got today. Not something that doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm grateful that I get to take this breath. Like, really take it into like the moment,
Yeah.
Grateful that I get to sit right now because my body's tired. I'm grateful that I get to use my voice right now because I've learned to adapt to connecting my brain to the thoughts I really want to share out my mouth mindfully, and not just give you a bunch of crap.
Right.
Just hear myself talk, which is a lot of what we do.
You're talking about how being here now, you are here now, I am here, as a way to like really fall into gratitude. And you're talking about detaching from like your family and the things that like define you to a certain extent. You're suggesting that by releasing those attachments and the expectations around those attachments, you're actually able to fall into the moment and then have a deeper appreciation for those very things that you momentarily let go of. Is that?
Yeah. Yes. And I also failed to mention an important part. It's really so that it's funny because we're talking about two different things here. Earlier I was talking about follow your feelings, and that basically just means release the feeling, like go through, say I'm sad right now. We're on a podcast, so I shouldn't, showcase that I'm sad. But if we were just three friends sitting down and I'm sad, then I should kind of go through the motions if, we're comfortable with each other, and I can show that and I can express it and safely and get it out of my body. That's essentially what I want to do. Not in a rush, just timely. And you want to release, because we store everything. And this is where disease comes from.
Yeah.
And this is where anxiety remains and keeps visiting. And anxiety is cool for many reasons, but it's also that visitor that we don't want to have. We want it on a slight guest appearance mode. We don't want it to be a reoccurring, main character role in our day of life.
Yeah.
So we want to, we can welcome it and we can say hello, but then we're like, okay, thank you. And then goodbye, I release you. So we do want to go through the motions, but to answer your question, Frank, we also want to detach the emotion, because if you think about it, your relationship with Lauren, with your kids, with, anyone you are in relation with, there's emotion tied to it. So when I say detach, I mean, when you break it down to the real of life, that we are a soul, and we are the soul is just encapsulated in this body, or the body and a soul. People say it different ways, but however you want to slice it or dice it. And we're having a human experience as this soul, and we will continue. We already did. We're doing it now, and we will continue to. When you look at the big picture, that's when you learn, maybe in another lifetime, my grandma's going to be my sister, and my cousin's going to be my mom, and my dog's going to be my cat, and that tree I love and admire in my neighborhood is going to be a butterfly, and when I'm born that day. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things shift. We're just here in this moment right now, having this human experiment.
It works too.
Both.
Experience.
That was a flub up, but that does work. But it's that's why I always say, bring it back to the basics, because we get all caught up here about everything in life. But that's why the spiritual side to things is so important as well. No matter how much science you have to back up your lab tests and your results and all these things, which is good to an extent, nothing compares to the spirit realm that, although we can't see it, it's there, and it's so much bigger than us, that's how we're lucky to be here. We're lucky to play a role, a tiny role.
I don't know. I'm kind of a big deal.
You are a big deal. You're a big deal. As I've ingrained in my daughter, and I'll share, we've talked about death because we've talked that she's been a part of someone that she knows, their dog died, and they had a ceremony for the dog before the dog had to be put down. So she's already in her small life been part of death, and she's also talked to me about experiences that she's had, or memories, I guess, that she's had. And we call it stars. She says, now it's so commonplace in our lives. She just says, well, when I was in the stars, my mom from the stars told me da da da.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is how we, characterize everything. Even she being taught that there's, another realm, and that, and it's such a comforting way to express life and death and everything around it to a young child, which I was a little nervous. How do I present this when I lab? But this, I'm telling you, has taken care of so much.
I like in the stars. That's cool.
Yeah.
So we say, it'll, like, if a bee is dead on the ground, which unfortunately happens so much. We see a lot of dead bees around. So, and she wants to save it, but then realizes that it's already dead. And I say, well, honey, it just went back to the stars. And then we're talking about that. I swear I see a light come back in her eyes instead of the sadness that creature died. She's like, oh, it's going to go back, with its family.
Right.
That's really nice.
Yeah. That is.
Also, now you can just tell her YOLA bot. You only live a bunch of times, right?
Bring that back.
But yeah, so as like I've been saying, whether you're a kid or whether you're an adult, there's a way to, have a vantage point to this crazy thing we call life, to, have a different perspective. When things get so heavy, it's not to ever dismiss what's happening to someone, through traumatic experiences. It's not to say like, so what, get over it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't cry, get over it.
You've lived a lot of lifetimes. This is nothing.
Yeah. Right. Come on, Tom. This is like your 75th life. But, there is something we can play with so that we can soften things. We can blur the lines a little bit so it doesn't seem so definitive. It's really just about, kind of just softening the edges and making things so it's not like fitting everything in a box like we love to do with these damn labels all the time.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot.
I have before told a friend to stop taking themselves so seriously and start taking themselves so seriously. And what I really mean by that is, if you're taking everything so seriously all the time and the labels and the societal pressures and all that stuff, like, you are going to be a miserable person. There's no way around it. Mm-hmm. But to your point, Sam, like, if you take your authenticity more seriously in yourself and what you want to do, you're going to be better. You're going to be better for yourself and better for everyone.
You're gonna be better.
We're good now.
We good. We cool.
We're good.
We cool.
Sam good.
Yeah, Sam good. Sam good over here. I love that. That's very true. Because that's like my goal. I don't make too many goals for myself, which I think we are so overbounds with manifesting and goals. And I call them soft goals because, there are variations and paths that take us to places that we weren't expecting. And that's, I could get carried away with that, so I won't go down that road. But we tend to overthink things, and we tend to, like I've said, box ourselves in to things, and we don't allow growth, and we don't allow, there's an impermanence in life. And that's what I meant, I think, to circle back to the that we're temporary, mm-hmm. and we don't know how long we have to live, right? So just knowing that we should have a lighter side, and we should lighten up, and we shouldn't always be so serious. But it's knowing when to let things roll off. If a good friend said to me, like, Sam, you need to lighten up a little bit. I notice you've been so serious. Personally, I would probably take that really well, because that's a friend looking out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It all depends on the camaraderie, the relationship, and who you're saying that to, and that moment in time. Maybe somebody's just really sensitive and you can't say that to them.
Right.
So I think it's a case by case basis.
Sure.
Or a case by case person. But yeah, life doesn't have to be that hard is the point, and it's not supposed to be. So when you're making a choice or you're making a change, it should be where it's all from feeling and it's all energetic, So it's not, we go up here and we're always in our minds, and it's not mental. It should be from your heart, and it should be energy. It should be, I'm feeling like, the saying, I'm feeling this right now,
Right. Heart forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's why I really appreciate you guys, because I listened to, I think it was your first episode where you were saying you're kind of new or greener with this spirituality, and I want to praise you both, because everything in life happens from an open mind. That's where the growth will happen. That's where you're actually going to learn, and you're going to flourish, and you'll become more authentic and more of who you both already are, and flow through that channel, as opposed to if, you were back where you were and you didn't have this door open at all.
Yeah.
You guys have opened a huge channel for a lot of cool things to come in. And for you also to kind of have your paddle and knock a couple things away along the way.
Yeah.
Life ain't always fun and good, but I think for both of you, a lot of good things are going to come of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm having
conscious
fun.
guide, Sam.
I mean, look at you.
She's got it. She's got it in the bag.
Sam, give us your plugs. Tell us where people can find you.
Oh, sure. So on social media, that fun place we all go
I love it so much.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Give yourself a couple minutes, to feel into your body.
Slow down first.
Slow down first. Take a couple breaths. But then when you're all good and happy and smiling, then you can go to at Roots Wings Wellness. That is Instagram, Facebook. I'm mostly on Instagram, TikTok. And I have a website, www.rootswingswellness.com.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for hanging out with us and being a fun happy hour. If you were in front of me, I'd squeeze your face. It would be weird, but I'd do it.
Face squeezing.
Feel it.
I love that. Thank you, Sam.
All right,
Have
Sam.
a great one.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for listening. Visit www.clairvoyaging.com for show notes, merch, or just to say hi. If you'd like to support our journey, visit www.buymeacoffee.com/clairvoyaging. This has been a production of Wayfeather Media.